Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are tackling, well, probably the biggest name in art history, Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa.
The Mona Lisa, absolutely. Hard to think of a more famous painting.
You know the face. Everyone does. You probably know the crowds around it at the Louvre, too.
Yeah.
Almost impossible to get near.
Oh, definitely. It's an experience in itself.
But here's the thing. Most people, they really only know the surface. The smile, maybe France.
Right.
Our mission today is to go, well, way beyond the bulletproof glass. We've pulled together a lot of material history, technical stuff, even crime reports.
Yeah, a real mix.
To really understand the precise recipe. How did this one small painting become maybe the most famous cultural object on Earth?
And that recipe, it's fascinating because it's not just about pure genius. I mean, if it were, you'd expect other Da Vinci works to be just as famous, wouldn't you?
That's a good point. So what is it then?
What we're looking at here is a perfect storm, really. You've got this incredible artistic technique, a specific historical journey it took, and then this one huge, sensational crime. A politically motivated one, too.
Right, the theft.
Exactly. So we're going to unpack, the basics, who she was, how Da Vinci painted her, but we'll spend a good chunk of time on the events that really cemented her legendary status.
So you, the listener, walk away with a much richer, more complex picture.
That's the goal. A proper deep dive.
Okay, let's get into it. Starting right at the beginning seems logical. The identity. Who is she?
Yeah, for something so famous, there's still this air of mystery, isn't there?
Totally. But the records, they're actually pretty decent on this, aren't they? That name, La Gioconda, that's a big clue itself.
It really is. The general consensus among historians, it points pretty strongly to Lisa Gocondo.
Lisa Gioconda, okay.
Yeah, she was the wife of a Florentine merchant, a wealthy cloth merchant, Francesco del Giocondo.
Ah, so Gioconda. Makes sense.
Precisely. And the sources, they help trace that connection, between the patron, Francesco, the name Giocondo, and how we get those different names for the painting. La Gioconda in Italian, La Joconde over in French, it all links back to that specific Florentine family that anchors it historically.
So we have a likely identity. But then the next question always comes up. How did this painting, commissioned in Florence, early 1500s,
right,
end up being the defining piece of the Louvre in France? Wasn't exactly a straightforward handover.
No, not at all. And this is key to understanding how it became a French cultural icon rather than staying purely Italian.
So what happened?
Well, Da Vinci started it around 1503, give or take. But the thing is, he never actually delivered it to the Giocondo family.
He kept it?
He kept it. And later, around 1517, when King Francis of France invited him to come work for him.
As his, premier painter.
Premier painter and engineer, yeah. Leonardo physically packed up the Mona Lisa and took it with him to France.
Wow. So he thought it was pretty special himself, like a portfolio piece.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. And the account suggests that Francis I actually bought the painting, either directly from Leonardo or maybe from his heirs right after Da Vinci died there in France.
For a decent sum, presumably.
Likely a significant sum, yeah. And that transaction, that's what brought it into the French royal collection permanently.
Setting the stage for everything later. It's home in the Louvre, which was a royal palace.
And eventually its theft from the Louvre. It all connects back to that move to France.
That logistical context is crucial. Okay, but let's shift gears. Let's talk technique. Because the real genius wasn't just who he painted. It was how. This is where we get into the art geek stuff, the thing that made critics sit up and take notice long before any thieves did.
Absolutely. This technical side is, well, it's fundamental to the painting's whole mystique. When people ask, why does the smile seem to change? The answer really boils down to one word.
Which is?
Sfumato.
Sfumato. Okay. I know it translates roughly as smoky or hazy.
That's right.
On the surface, that sounds maybe simple, just blend the colors. But unpack it for us. Why was Da Vinci's Sfumato so revolutionary? Why are people still analyzing it?
Because it wasn't just blending, not at all. It was this incredibly painstaking, tedious process, almost impossible to replicate properly.
That's out.
Think of it less like mixing paint on a palette and more like rendering light and shadow in an incredibly fine mist. He did it by applying layer after layer after layer of super thin, translucent oil paint glazes.
Right, glazes.
We're talking numerous layers. Technical analysis, it shows sometimes up to 40 layers of these glazes in certain areas, like around the mouth and eyes.
40 layers. That's serious dedication.
It's astonishing dedication. And that level of precision, it means two crucial things. First, you just cannot see any brushstrokes, like none. The surface is impossibly smooth.
Okay.
Second, and this is really the aha moment for why it looks the way it does, the transitions between light and shadow are so incredibly gradual, so seamless, that your eye and your brain, they can't quite pin down exactly where the shadow stops and the light begins. Especially around the corners of the mouth, the eyes.
That lack of a hard edge, that kind of intentional ambiguity, that's the magic.
That's the magic, precisely. The mysterious smile isn't a fixed thing he just painted. It's actually an optical effect.
How does that work?
Well, when you look directly at her mouth, the shadows that give the impression of a smile, they sort of fall into your peripheral vision. They seem less defined.
Right.
But then shift your gaze. Look at her eyes. Now, those subtle shadows around the mouth become more pronounced in your periphery. The smile seems stronger.
Wow. So it literally changes depending on how you look at it.
Exactly. And if we connect this back, it's that optical genius created by this incredibly complex Sfumato technique that makes the Mona Lisa arguably the most technically studied painting in the world.
So, okay, we've got incredible technical skill creating this unique visual experience that definitely earns it a place in art history.
No question.
But let's be honest. That alone doesn't explain the bulletproof glass, the hundreds of guards, the global obsession.
No, it doesn't.
For that kind of almost religious celebrity status, you need something else, a huge event, something world-stopping.
And that's exactly what happened on a quiet Monday morning, August 1911.
Right. We shift now dramatically from art technique to, well, true crime.
We do, because the sensational 1911 theft from the Louvre, that is the event that truly blasted the Mona Lisa from being just a very important Renaissance painting into this global household name, an icon. Before 1911, sure, people in France who loved art knew it, critics knew it.
But not everyone knew it.
Exactly. After 1911, it became a celebrity in its own right.
Why this painting, though? Why did its disappearance capture the world's imagination so much more than, say, another masterpiece? What drove that media frenzy?
Well, part of it was just the sheer shock value, the audacity, and the failure of security.
How did he actually do it, the thief?
The thief, Vincenzo Peruggia, he actually worked at the Louvre before.
Oh, an inside job. Sort of.
Kind of. He knew the layout. He apparently just hid in a storage closet overnight, Sunday night into Monday when the museum was closed.
Just hid in a closet.
Yep. Waited until morning, took the painting, which wasn't bolted down back then, just hanging on hooks off the wall.
Incredible. Yeah.
Wrapped it in a blanket or his worker's smock, tucked it under his arm, and simply walked out.
He just walked out with the Mona Lisa.
Walked right out. Apparently he had trouble with a locked door at one point, but a helpful plumber let him out. The security was shockingly lax by today's standards.
Wow. And the reaction when they realized it was gone.
It was huge. A national scandal in France. People couldn't believe the country's greatest treasure could just vanish from its most famous museum.
I remember reading accounts. People were genuinely distraught, like a death in the family.
Absolutely. Parisians literally flocked to the Louvre just to stare at the empty space on the wall where it used to hang. They left flowers, notes.
And the newspapers.
Went wild. All over the world, headlines screamed about it for weeks, months. There was endless speculation. Was it a forgery ring? Was it some kind of international plot? Even Picasso got questioned briefly.
Picasso? Why him?
Well, it turned out a friend of his had stolen some small Iberian statues from the Louvre earlier, and Picasso had bought them not knowing they were stolen. So the police checked him out. It was unrelated, but shows the level of panic.
So this massive global media attention, it basically acted like a giant advertising campaign for the Mona Lisa's importance.
You could say that. It hammered home to literally everyone on the planet who read a newspaper that this painting was incredibly valuable and important.
And adding to the drama, Peruggia wasn't after money, right? The sources are clear on that.
Correct. That's a crucial layer. His motive wasn't financial gain. It was, well, political, or perhaps nationalistic is the better word.
Oh, so.
Peruggia was an Italian nationalist. He genuinely, though incorrectly, believed Napoleon had stolen the painting during his campaigns in Italy and that it rightfully belonged back in Italy.
So he saw himself as a patriot, repatriating stolen art.
Essentially, yes. A misguided patriot, maybe. He took it back to his small apartment in Paris and just hid it for over 2 years.
2 years. 2 years the world thought it was gone forever, maybe destroyed. That absence must have just amplified its legend tenfold.
Oh, absolutely. It became this lost treasure, this symbol of what had been taken. The mystery deepened its allure.
And the recovery. How did that happen?
After 2 years, Peruggia finally tried to basically sell it, or perhaps return it for a reward. His story varied. He contacted an art dealer in Florence in late 1913.
And the dealer realized what he had.
Immediately. He authenticated it, contacted the authorities. The recovery wasn't just news. It was this huge global sensation. A triumph.
And didn't it go on a sort of tour in Italy before going back to France?
It did. The Italian government, before returning it, allowed it to be displayed briefly. In Florence, Rome, Milan, millions of ordinary people saw it.
So that tour, fueled by the theft and recovery story, that was maybe the first time it became truly famous among the general public internationally.
Arguably, yes. That tour cemented its status. It wasn't just art history anymore. It was front-page news, a celebrity object.
So if Da Vinci's Sfumato made it great art, it was Peruggia's crime, his nationalism, that made it a global icon by showing the world how much it missed it. That's quite a combination.
It really is. And it raises that important point, how this politically driven act, this crime born from cultural nationalism, ultimately locked in the Mona Lisa's place as a global symbol. High art history met sensational crime history.
The story around it became almost bigger than the painting itself.
In many ways, yes. The narrative took on a life of its own.
Okay, now, before we look at where things stand today, let's add one more wrinkle.
Yeah.
The fascinating one mentioned in our sources.
Yes.
It challenges the idea of this being the one singular Mona Lisa. Let's touch on this theory about a second, maybe earlier version.
Right. This adds a whole other layer of complexity and, honestly, intrigue. The theory often centers on what's known as the Isleworth Mona Lisa.
Isleworth.
Yes, it's another portrait, very similar in subject, looks a bit younger, maybe less finished in the background. Some experts date it earlier than the Louvre version.
And what's the evidence for it being, another genuine Da Vinci or an earlier attempt?
Well, there's stylistic analysis, technical comparisons, but also there are historical accounts from Da Vinci's contemporaries, like Vasari, who described a Mona Lisa he was working on. Some details in those early descriptions seem to match the Isleworth version, or at least suggest Da Vinci might have worked on more than one.
So what's the big implication here, if there was another version?
The implication is it complicates things. It challenges our idea of the Louvre painting being the single definitive article. Was it the first? Was it the final version? Did he return to the subject?
Right. It makes you question what exactly Francesco del Giocondo commissioned and what Leonardo ultimately created and kept.
Precisely. It adds depth. It encourages that critical thinking about its history. It's not necessarily just one painting, one date, one story. It could be more layered.
That complexity and thinking about its rather dramatic history being stolen, hidden for years.
The history of fragility, really.
Exactly. It brings us right up to today.
Yeah.
Because you can't just stroll up to a painting with that kind of past anymore. What's the reality for the Mona Lisa now in the Louvre?
Today, the reality is all about extreme protection, utmost security.
Understandably so.
After the 1911 theft and then a couple of minor incidents in the 1950s, someone threw acid, someone else threw a rock, causing slight damage.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Yes. After those, the Louvre really ramped up the conservation measures massively.
So the famous glass.
It's housed behind multiple layers of bulletproof reflective glass now, and it's inside its own special climate-controlled box, a vitrine.
Controlling everything, the light levels, temperature, humidity.
Exactly, all meticulously managed. The main goal is to stabilize the poplar wood panel it's painted on, stop any warping or cracking, prevent any further decay or damage.
It's such a stark contrast, isn't it? From being casually hung on hooks pre-1911
to basically being in a high-tech vault now.
It really underscores how its value is seen today, not just as art, but as this completely irreplaceable piece of, well, global heritage.
Couldn't have put it better myself. It's a symbol that needs absolute protection.
So wrapping this all up, what does this deep dive mean for you listening? We've seen that the Mona Lisa's incredible lasting fame isn't simple. It's driven by this complex, almost paradoxical mix of factors.
Yeah, to synthesize it down, you can really point to three core drivers that created this unparalleled status.
Okay, what are they?
First, undeniably the technical brilliance. Da Vinci's mastery of sfumato, creating that endlessly fascinating shifting expression, that's the artistic foundation.
Right, the genius part.
Second, the identity. tying it historically, even with some mystery, to a real person, Lisa Gocondo. That gives it a human anchor.
Makes it relatable in a way.
Exactly. And third, the game changer. The fame was absolutely cemented, turbocharged, really, by the cultural earthquake of the 1911 theft. Carried out by Vincenzo Peruggia, that event transformed it, through its absence and dramatic recovery, into a truly global cultural symbol.
It's like if you take away the Sfumato, you still got a beautiful, important historical portrait.
Sure.
If you take away the theft, you have an incredibly significant museum piece, revered by art lovers. But it's the combination of the two, that undeniable artistic genius fused with this spectacular, crime-fueled, internationally reported story, that creates the unique phenomenon we see today.
Perfectly said. The art and the story are inseparable now.
Which leads us to our final thought, something for you to mull over.
Yeah, building on everything we've discussed, ponder this. How much of the Mona Lisa's immense value and global status rests on that microscopic, almost invisible technique, sfumato?
The genius in the paint.
Versus how much rests on that huge, dramatic, public act of cultural nationalism, the theft.
Yeah.
When you look at other world-famous artworks, think about what truly makes them icons. Is it purely the genius captured on the canvas or in the marble? Or is it also the dramatic human story that wraps itself around the object, transforming it into something more, into a legend?